Hi there. This session is giving you an introduction to higher degree research at Macquarie University. I'm Jen Cornish. I'm the Academic Director of Higher Degree Research. I directly report to the Pro-Vice-Chancellors and his Office of Higher Degree Research Training and Partnerships. I'm also responsible for academic matters that pertain to your degree, especially with respect to support and developmental activities. So first of all, let's look at what is HDR. So HDR stands for Higher Degree Research, or if you like, Higher Degree by Research. And it is the highest standard academic qualification, particularly, of course, the PhD. So we also have superior doctorates that are given, but they're rare, and they're usually given to late career researchers that have distinguished careers. So if you've got someone who's a professor and they've got a really crash hot track record, they'll be given something like, for example, a Doctor of Science. So the highest standard academic qualification, other than that, is the higher degree research, which is PhD. All right. So at Macquarie, we provide the PhD, which is a Doctorate of Philosophy, and this is something that can be worked towards across every academic department and discipline at our university. Now, the PhD is awarded for your academic research, and this is at world standard. So what I want you to know is that your work that you're doing will end up being a major component of our world research. So it is well respected that PhDs provide a whole lot of research to contribute a whole lot of research to Australian research in general. So 70% of the research undertaken throughout the world is done at universities. So the university really values research, and about 50% of that 70% comes from our candidates that do HDR degrees. So like PhD, we have Masters of Philosophy and also Masters by Research. This is really important because there's a great number of innovations in policy and practice, government and industry that really rely on the research which is taken by our HDR candidates, so you're greatly valued. So let's take a look at two of the main HDR degrees that we have at Macquarie University. The first one is a doctorate, which is your PhD. So this one is the most important. It's the Australian Qualifications Framework, or AQF Level 10, which is the highest level that you can get. So the AQF, the Australian Qualifications Framework, is the regulatory framework that specifies what each award across the tertiary institutions means, and also compares them in terms of outcomes and learning objectives, the size and the scope of the degree, and also its particular focus. So today we're looking at research degrees. So graduates at this level will have systematic and critical understanding of a complex field of learning and specialised research skills for the advancement of learning and or for professional practice. And these summarise the key points of what you expect from the outcome of doctoral studies. Now, these go across all the way from basic research to basically research that's applied to professional practice. And the key focus here is advancement of knowledge. A PhD is all about originality. You need to have new ideas and try to get groundbreaking research. It doesn't always happen, but it's really good research. You want to have new facts, or you could be reinterpreting or analysing facts that already exist, which is still really, really valuable work. So it's all about discovery of new knowledge in the PhD program. Now, the Research Masters is AQF Level 9, otherwise known as a Masters of Research, or MRes. Okay, so this is AQF Level 9. So it's not as advanced as the PhD, or even the MPhil, which is a Masters of Philosophy, which is a 2-year degree similar to PhD, but it's smaller in size and scope. Now, the Research Masters, the AQF defines this as graduates at this level will have specialised knowledge and skills for research and or professional practice and or for further learning. So there's less emphasis here on originality. It's more about your skills that you've achieved and also your depth of knowledge. And from our point of view, it's also to see whether you've got the skill base to actually go on to do your doctoral research. Okay, so it's a really good degree, and it's a really important one for giving you the best start for your PhD program. Now, with respect to HDR administration, so how does it all happen at the university? It's important that you know this so that you know the avenues of consultation if you need it. So the main person who looks after the whole research portfolio is a Deputy Vice-Chancellor of Research, Professor Saki Pretorius. So he has the oversight of research training in addition to many other aspects of research, so infrastructure, such as the facilities, grants that are given to the university, etc., etc., but also research training. So it's really important. Now, the Pro Vice Chancellor is the head of the high degree research programs. So you've got Professor Simon Handley, he basically looks after all of things HDR, so all of the operations, so your admissions and your basically how you progress through the degree with respect to operational management. He's also in charge of all the scholarship funding and co-tutel agreements, all that kind of stuff. And then also support and developmental training, which is my main role as Academic Director of HDR. So I look after the support and developments team, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Also in each of the faculties you have associate deans, which are a wealth of information about your degree. So please do get to know your associate deans in the faculty. Okay. They have basic oversight of everything to do with your candidature, so do get to know them. And also the research managers the high degree research managers are very important in that respect. Now there's a few key committees that you might like to know about. So as with all other academic administration that happens at the university, HDR administration and procedures all have to go through Academic Senate. We also then have 3 committees that feed into Academic Senate in one way or another. So we have the Research and Research Training Committee, and this is an important committee for oversight of both research as a whole, but also the training part of it. So just the management, the operations of it, and the decisions that go around research training will happen at RRTC. Now, TESC is a very important committee for you, the Thesis Examination Subcommittee. They're all important committees, but TESC is very important because they're the ones that decide on whether your thesis will be passed or not. So once your thesis results have been discussed at TESC, and there's also many other things discussed at TESC, but one of the main things is thesis discussions around MRes and PhD. So once that has been decided, that then goes forward through to RRTC and Academic Senate. Now we also have the HDRMC, which is the HDR Management Committee, and this is to do with the practical issues of basically the HDR operations and management. So a lot of decisions are made here that will impact on the policies and procedures around your HDR candidature. Now finally, we have the ethics committees, and although these aren't key committees although the ethics committee is not a key committee for HDR, they are very, very important committees if you're doing human or animal-based research. So we have very stringent ethics rules following the Code of Conduct in Australia. So you must ensure that if you are doing animal or human research that you know all about the ethics committees and how to get your research approved before you begin. Very, very important. Okay, so the academic director role, that's my role. So basically I'm involved in bringing you the best quality HDR program that I can, of course with my great team that I have that works with me. I'll be looking after the MRes and HDR curriculum. I also work in collaboration with the High Degree Research Office, or it's HDRTP, on admissions and scholarships to make sure your candidature is progressing. I am involved in HDR examinations, so I do a lot of the signatures for seeing how you've done your thesis corrections, for example. I have a very strong HDR support and development team, which I'll talk about in a minute. I'm very interested in receiving your feedback on how your candidature has progressed, so please do let me know if you have any concerns or anything good that you want to say about the program. And we do survey you at least once a year from Macquarie to find out how you are progressing and any feedback that you might have. I'll also be involved in contributing to policy and development, and I am a member of the Australian Council of Graduate Research. And this is basically a big cohort of academic directors or PVCs that discuss critical issues with respect to higher degree research and advancing the degrees forward for your benefit and higher quality. Now, this is the HDR Support and Development team. We have learning skills, professional development, industry engagement, mentors, and supervision enhancement. And I do encourage you at any point in time to be in contact with these people because they're awesome and they do a fantastic job. So first of all, we have the learning skills. Learning skills is headed by Dr. Juliet Lum. Now, the main role of the HDR learning skills is to promote your communication skills and also your writing skills to support you through your candidature. So they provide lots of workshops and also one-on-one consultations to help you with research communication. So really do take the opportunity to get involved with these people. They are fantastic. So we have Florence Chu, who is an expert in social science. We have Michelle Jamison, who works in humanities, Megan Brewer for science, Adele Thomas for science, and then we have Frank Song for finance, or for the business school. Now, secondly, we have professional development with with Sally Purcell. Now, this basically ensures that you're getting some employability skills, right? So beyond academia. HDR or PhDs is not all about becoming an academic. There are so many other options out there for you, so please take advantage of Sally's mentoring to help you with professional development, to think outside the box and to get more skills that are relevant to different jobs past PhD. Now we have Catherine Ennis, who is our industry engagement and placements expert, and she's very good at getting you involved in industry relationships. She has internships that she could suggest to you, and this is, again, with Sally, they're both developing your skills as an employable graduate, so it's really important that you engage with them. Then we have Kim Tan, who is the head of Experience and Mentors program. She basically has set up this wonderful mentors program, which is a peer mentorship, and because you've got mentors that are PhD candidates, they help to promote the support, and also they provide a really welcoming community to new students. Okay, so they share their experiences, and I have heard that they have really, really good lucky potlucks, I should say, for having some great food and great times together. So please do take advantage of that. And the last thing here is Marilyn Childs, who is involved in supervision engagement. So doesn't face the candidates. It's more of a supervisor-facing module. It's very important to upskill our HDR supervisors and to make sure that they're aware of new policies, etc. So we're developing this into a really good system to help supervisors become better trained, particularly early career researchers as well that are just starting out as supervisors. Now, as a PhD candidate, another support system that we provide you with is your principal supervisor. So you will have both a principal supervisor and you should also have an associate supervisor. We have a number of different supervisors, which I'll mention briefly in a minute, but the most important one is your principal supervisor. So the principal supervisor is ultimately responsible for your PhD thesis. They're responsible for the administration and the management of the thesis, so finding your examiners, helping with all the documentation that you might need. If you need a little extension or you might need to take leave, they can help you with all of that, as will your faculty research, high degree research office. They're also important for providing that crucial feedback on your thesis drafts. It's very important that they're involved at that stage, and they're also good for giving you general advice on your professional development. So it's really important that you have the strong relationship with your supervisor, and basically it's a really nice relationship to have. Now, as I said, you also should have an associate supervisor. Now, the role of the associate supervisor it can change depending on who your principal supervisor is or why that associate supervisor is there. So if you have an associate supervisor that is there to help, they have a different perspective on a certain question, then they may be there to help you with that particular perspective. Like it might be a technique that they use, and that helps to supplement or supplement or work with your primary or principal supervisor. So principal supervisor is also known as a primary supervisor. Or the associate supervisor may just be seen as a kind of a backup supervisor. So if your principal supervisor needs to go overseas, or if they go on, if they need to go on long service leave, or if they have OSP, which is when they have a certain amount of time to do really focused research, then your associate supervisor can stand in as your principal supervisor. Now, the adjunct supervisors are basically, it's kind of like an associate supervisor that's not actually employed by Macquarie University. So it may be that you've got a supervisor that has recently left the university but they're still involved in your project. They would become your adjunct supervisor. Or it might be that you've got a particular person with expertise that you need that's outside of the university that you need to have as an adjunct supervisor, and that's where they come in. Now, research advisors are basically a key contact that you might need. Not everyone has adjuncts or research advisors, cultural, industry end users, okay? The most important ones are principal and associate. But some people will have a research advisor, and that's a key contact that you might need at a particular place that you need to go to. So say you're doing field research, and there's a person there that helps you with that, but they're not actually considered your supervisor. They're an advisor to help you with your data collection. Now, the cultural advisor is really important if you're doing Indigenous or Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander work. The cultural advisor helps with the protocols around this kind of data collection or negotiations that you might need to navigate through with Indigenous matters. So it's really important if you are working on Indigenous research question that you have a cultural advisor. Now, the last one here is the industry end user supervisor, and these are people that, with a lot of focus on the government wanting us to work with industry now, it's really important that you have someone in the industry that's actually helping with your PhD thesis. So you can formally have them as a supervisor, so an industry end user supervisor. So as an example, perhaps you're working at in part with a pharmaceutical company, then you could have that supervisor at the pharmaceutical company as your industry end user supervisor. And I might just take a quick word here just to say, if you are engaged with an industry end user, we would really love to know about it because the data is particularly hard to capture. So please let us know when you're filling out your annual progress reports, which you need to do on a yearly basis. Okay, now there is a whole lot of information online about HDR supervision. You can look up the policies and procedures. If you want to know more about what these supervisor roles are, please do. But the most important thing about the supervision or the supervisory team is that they're there to help you develop to become an independent researcher. So you'll start off and you won't really know what's going on. You'll be reading up, you'll be working, and it's not until you get into the flow of doing your research that it kind of kicks in that, hey, I can do this on my own with help from my supervisor, okay? But over the further you progress through your PhD, the less help you will need from your supervisor. So the aim is to make you an independent researcher. You need to learn to develop during your PhD with help from your supervisory team, and then you can fly on your own, okay? So you need to be able to get to a point where you can come up with a concept, you can design it, you can analyse it, interpret it, and communicate it all on your own. And that's what the PhD procedure or degree is aiming to do. Okay, so as we said, the supervision, you and your supervisor, that relationship is really important, and take advantage of making it a really strong one, okay? Try not to go off and, as I know you need to be independent, but try not to go off and do things on your own. Do always consult with your supervisor. You should also try to become involved with the intellectual climate at the university. So there are a multitude, I could even say, of workshops, seminars, within the faculty, within the department, within the university that you can attend so that you can be intellectually stimulated. Always try to get yourself involved in a research group if you can, so that you've got that extra stimulation there. But intellectual climate is really important to us, and it's important that you understand that it is available to you, so please take advantage of it. Now, the PhD or MRes can be quite a challenging time. You can become quite stressed. It can be quite lonely sometimes. If you need more support, we do have campus wellbeing. They're not just for mental health issues. Campus wellbeing does a whole range of things. They help you with your physical health. They do help you with mental health. They help you with your financial aid, all that kind of stuff. So if you need help, please go to the Wellbeing Centre or Campus Wellbeing. So you can have a few challenges, but hopefully challenges can also be seen as opportunities, so work with those as well. And finally, I just wanted to talk about how important you are to us and also the importance of what you do. So the university really values your contribution to research. You are fundamental, or research is fundamental to the university contribution to society. And as I said before, 50% of our research comes from the HDR candidates. So you're really important, and important for advancement of knowledge in Australia and across the world. So remember, we're here to support you, support what you do, and we really want you to have a successful HDR experience. Good luck, go forth and advance knowledge. Thank you.